Good evening, everyone. We're just filing in person and online still, so it's going to be a few minutes before we get started. We should get started promptly at 6:30. If you're in the virtual setting, let us know that you can hear us okay. This is our first time doing this hybrid.
We can hear you.
Okay, everyone, I think we're going to get started. Can everyone in the room hear me? I didn't bother to turn the mics on. I also don't know how, so hope this is okay. Welcome back to Eastwood Civic Association's general membership meeting. We're trying a new format where we get to be back in person while also accommodating some virtual attendees on the computer. So this is new to us. There could be some hiccups involved. To the virtual attendees, one of the challenges with the way we're set up is it will be difficult for the auditorium audience to hear you if you have questions. So I'd ask that you put any kind of questions or comments you want to share with the group in the chat, and we'll do our very best to verbalize them for you. The best experience to attend our meetings moving forward will be the in-person meetings, and we'd love to see our neighbors act together. So my name is Danielle. I am the Eastwood Civic Association president. This is my first in-person meeting with y'all as president, so it's been 2 years, and I've been in this role for 9 months now. I'm very thankful to be able to lead the Civic Association and support neighbors like you and making our neighborhoods a beautiful place to live and a place that we feel comfortable, safe, and enjoyable. So we'll kick off the meeting with a chance for anyone who's new to the neighborhood or has never attended this meeting and is a resident, so we'll leave elected officials or candidates aside for now. If you are new to the neighborhood, either virtually or online, let me know, and we'd love for you to introduce yourselves. I think I know everyone in the crowd. Anyone there, Kyle?
Not yet. No newbies yet.
Okay. It looks like a lot of familiar names in there, so I think nobody new. Kyle, if you could go one slide next I think you just have to go. Oh,
Hello. Technical issue.
no,
Okay.
there. So a piece that I wanted to kind of raise right off the start that we keep missing is how to get more involved with the Eastwood Civic Association. So there's a variety of ways I have on the screen right now. This is really great timing to get involved because if you want to sit on our board of directors, we will be holding elections through November, December meetings. So in November, we asked for candidates and present the slate of candidates who want to run. In all honesty, I think for many, many years now, if you want to be on the board, there's normally a seat for you on the board, and we don't have a formal election unless there's a contested seat. But if you are interested in sitting on the board of directors, please reach out to me and I can let you know how to go about it. For those attending virtually, you can send me an email at info@eastwoodcivicassociation.org to get more information about that. Then we also like to have neighbors involved in subcommittees. And right now we have a lot of subcommittees running, and we're gonna get some updates from a couple of them later on. We have a train advocacy committee that's focused on reducing train blockages and implementing quiet zones in our neighborhoods, really advocating for respectful train operation in the East End. So Lindsay is the chair of that, and later on she'll give an update on what's going on there. It's a great way to get involved. In the last 2 months, we've also launched a Metro BRT advocacy committee focused on the Metro bus rapid transit, that's BRT line that's expected to run down Lockwood. The initial plans had some concerns from neighbors, specifically around protecting the esplanade and the old growth trees there, and what the impact of an overpass might do to the area. And in further meetings since then with folks, we've also heard real emphasis on not using eminent domain to take any property for the project, which we've heard from Metro is likely not a concern in our area, but we want to keep on top of that. So if you're interested in supporting our work and making sure that that project is beneficial to our neighborhood and addresses those concerns that neighbors have raised, please talk to me after the meeting. Send an email to info@Eastwood Civic Association to learn more. Then we have a communications subcommittee, which Kyle is the chair of. That committee is focused on spreading knowledge of the Civic Association and increasing engagement about it. They also are often tasked with all of our events communication. So I'm sure Kyle would love some help on that committee if that's something that interests you. And then finally, Erin, I know you are on the call virtually. I'm going to do my best to do a shout out to the Historic Home Tour Committee. I have a slide later on, Erin, maybe where you could chime in. We're coming back with our homes tour on October 15th and 16th. And right now, Erin's looking for some volunteers for that committee. And then in future years, if you'd like to be a part of that committee, which organizes the home tour, selects the homes, all of those pieces, Erin is the person to reach out to on that. But again, if you send an email there, we can get you in contact with folks. And then in terms of other opportunities right now, we'd love to hear winter event suggestions. We've never done a winter event, so thinking that January, February timeframe. If you have ideas of what you'd like to see and do with your neighbors, we'd love to hear them. And then in the near future, we may have some block meeting activities specifically for the Metro BRT advocacy. And so if you're interested in being a block captain or hosting a backyard or front yard meeting with your neighbors to give them more information about this project, the projects going on in our neighborhood, we'd love to start identifying those folks. So those are just a few ways to get involved with us. And I'd love to see, more diverse faces coming to our subcommittee meetings and getting actively involved with the Civic Association. Any questions before I move on? Okay. Next up, Veronica, I'll pull you up in a second, but we normally do elected official updates. So I don't have my glasses on. It's actually really hard to see you guys. I left them in the car. But I think Brenda, would you like to give an update from Senator Alvarado's office?
Hi, everyone. Good evening. I'm Brenda Diaz. I'm new Senator Alvarado. So I'll be doing a lot of the district activities. If you guys have any questions, feel free to reach out. I'll leave some of my cards at the table. So you can call the office, you can email me with anything. Right now, we don't really have any updates, but we did want to say that elections are coming up. So those are November 8th. And the last day to register to vote is October 11th. So just wanted to put those out there, make sure you have those dates in mind. And I'm happy to be here. This is my first time and hopefully not the last one. So thank you.
All right. I saw some other folks in the back. Does precinct 2 have any updates for us that you 6, thank you. 6, yeah. Come on up.
Good evening, everyone. Yes, actually, I did want to invite everyone here to our public safety community meeting that we will be hosting on next Thursday, the 22nd. It will be at the Magnolia Civic Center. I'm sorry, the Magnolia Community Center, and I will share the flyer if I am able to on the chat, but I can also email it over to you guys so you can blast it. That will be next Thursday at 6:30 p.m.
Okay, thanks, Susanna. And I knew precinct 2 was somewhere. They are just in the virtual room. So thanks for the commissioner's office there. Precinct 6, please go ahead.
Hello, everyone. My name is Sergeant Alvarado, Harris County Constables, Precinct 6, Constable Silvio Trevino's office. And just give you all some stats for area code 77023, which is this area right here. This is for the month of August and the month of August only. So we have 4 minor accidents reported to us to this office. Burglary motor vehicles, we had six burglary motor vehicles in the month of August. Our deputies conducted 130 business checks, 39 park checks, and 14 school checks. We had about 5 discharge of firearms. Loud music disturbances, we had 13 loud music disturbances. Indecent exposures, we had 2 indecent exposures. Suspicious persons is 58. We had 58 suspicious persons called. Theft of businesses is 6. Shoplifters 22. Our deputies conducted 70 traffic stops in the area. And we had 17 meet the citizens call where citizens wanted to speak to the constable for one reason or another. So that's the stats for this area. Again, schools are in session. So I just want to remind you guys, the fines can be up to $1,200 in fines for not stopping for school bus. That's all I have. Do you have any questions or concerns that I may address? Yes, ma'am.
Are they gonna do anything about the light at Cullen Depot?
Just the delay it takes, it's a long process.
Well, Cullen is the less visited street, and
Correct.
Gulf is the major street. And I've contacted 311 and they said the lights as long as they can make it. But that's not a good answer.
Right, well, I don't think we have any say-so in it now,
Okay.
but 311 would be the best option. I'm aware of that because I try to avoid it.
Yeah.
Actually, I'll jump in on that comment. We have heard from some City of Houston staff in the Planning and Development Department about what could be done at that intersection. And so I'd love to chat with you more about what your thoughts on what would be better. Is it a longer time light? Is it a 2-way or 4-way stop so that you just stop and keep going like you do in other intersections in our neighborhood? We'd love to get neighbors' input on that because we have heard that that's an intersection of interest for further study in the future.
Yes, sir.
Well, it's not our area. On September 1st.
I'm familiar with that incident right there. Yes, there was a discharge of firearms. We don't know of us 2 different members which shooting at each other at the complex. I know we had a car that was shot up over there. No arrests were made and we didn't find nobody. Everybody was gone. We got there pretty quick. We don't know if they ducked to one of these apartment complexes or what, but did I answer your question? Chief, again?
I just wanted to let you guys know that Constable had a virtual meeting this morning about the Metro BRT. And she wanted me to let you know that there are going to be some community meetings where we have been led to believe that it's been voted on and it's final. It's our understanding that it's not final, and there will be community meetings in the future coming out of State Representative Ana Hernandez's office. So as soon as we get information, we will let you guys know. But they definitely want input from every single community. Okay?
Yes. Nice to see you in person. Any other updates from elected officials or candidates? Come on up.
Yes, so,
Judge Trevino, if we'll come to you next, we'll do.
yes, ma'am.
Person
So,
here.
okay, I'll wait. Yes, ma'am, I'm sorry.
Well, thank you so much for the opportunity to take just a little bit of time to introduce myself. My name is Julian Ramirez. I am a candidate for judge of the 248th Criminal District Court, and I'm running to improve public safety. I think we have serious problems, especially with the releases of dangerous defendants that have been made on bail and so forth. And I have 32 years of experience prosecuting criminal cases and handling very serious, the types of very serious cases that come before the court. I will be on your ballot in November. This is a countywide race, and I would appreciate your consideration. Early voting starts October the 24th. Election day is November the 8th. Julian Ramirez, running for the 248th Criminal District Court. Thank you.
Thank you. I think I saw another hand in the crowd, but we're gonna go virtually to Judge Trevino. Please go ahead.
Good evening, Eastwood. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to speak. I'm one of your elected justice of the peace, Victor Trevino III. My office is there at 333 Lockwood. I want to share some of my personal information real quick. Our office number is 713-274-3985. My personal cell phone, 832-725-7934. Sorry I couldn't be there right now. I'm at my stepson's baseball practice. But I wanted to just give you your local justice of peace. What we handle are basically small claims court. Our jurisdiction on the civil level is $20,000. So any small claims incidents that are under $20,000, you'll be filed there at our Justice of the Peace Court. We do handle some criminal cases, anything that's a Class C misdemeanor or under. And then unfortunately, of course, what we handle a lot of are landlord-tenant disputes, which involve evictions. I was informed today that the Houston-Harris County Rent Relief Program, they have enough money to fund more rent relief up until December of this year. So if you know any landlords or tenants that need any kind of assistance, whether it's a tenant needs their rent being paid or landlords that need help with some tenants that they don't want to evict, but unfortunately, they need their money as well. You should please tell them to reach out to my office, and we don't mind helping them, point them in the right direction of the Houston-Harris County Rent Relief Program. I heard someone from my mom's office earlier touch on the meeting that State Representative Ana Hernandez hosted this morning with the chairman and CEO of Metro and a few of us elected officials. I wanted to say some good news. I think you or somebody talk about the subject of eminent domain earlier. We did bring that up and talk about how that was just a very, very, no way issue. And they said, well, the one thing is we have an MOU with a memorandum of understanding with the city of Houston that's not even on the table as far as eminent domain. And basically, in order for us to keep this process going with the city of Houston, we have to kind of restrict or keep any eminent domain off the table. We did hear from Councilman Robert Gallegos that was very adamant about no overpasses over the actual the rail on Harrisburg, as well as the train track right after the CVS. So I think not only the city councilman, State Representative Ana Hernandez, my mom, Constable Sylvia Trevino, myself, we were all of us were very adamant about that no overpass as well. The councilman brought up an underpass. That was an actual idea. One of the things I wanted to give y'all was the timeline. Like I heard someone talk about, there's going to be a lot more input sessions going on. One thing is the Metro talked to me about, they submitted their application to the federal government September of 2021. They have to have a response. The application was only good for 2 years. So they have to have a response by September of 2023. Metro is basically looking at May 2023 when they have to hear from the federal government if the federal government is going to fund at least minimum half of the project. Metro is basically estimating the project is going to be around 1.5 billion. They cannot afford it on their own, plain and simple. They need the federal government to fund minimum half, if not a little bit more. But the point being is, so one question I kept bringing up and State Representative Ana Hernandez kept bringing up is, how do we ensure that the community's input is being taken seriously? And how do we go back to our constituents to tell them that Metro is taking their input seriously? We asked for a rubric to basically, how do y'all determine and factor in this input? Unfortunately, Metro, they don't have a rubric to determine and factor in the input, but they did say that every complaint or concern they receive by federal guidelines, they have to issue each one of those concerns and complaints to the federal government in their applications. And the federal government must see an answer or a response for each concern and complaint. So for any of us that have any concerns or complaints, every time we issue a concern or complaint to the actual Metro website regarding this, the BRT, the bus rapid transit, it's something that must be responded to, and hopefully they address our concern in a way that meets the federal guidelines, because if they don't, that's ultimately the one thing that where the federal government could kind of weigh in and say, you know what, we're not going to pass this, we're not going to authorize the money that we're going to give you because we don't feel that you met these standards regarding answering these citizens' concerns about, you know, some of the concerns or complaints that they have. But so that's the one avenue we have. Obviously, they're going to be having some more input sessions. I think just to give you a timeline, what we asked today, right now, May of 2023 is when they're expected to hear an answer from the federal government. If they do receive a yes in 2023, then the next 2 years would be the engineering process, actually determining whether or not they're going over, under, expanding, how exactly, what it all looks like, and not only the engineering process for Lockwood, but all the other stages of the whole BRT project. So that would be 2 years of engineering. They talked about actually breaking ground sometime in 2025. These are all ifs. I just want to reiterate that. These are all ifs, but breaking ground.
I'm just going to interrupt you there, and we're a little tight on time here, so I think.
Okay, I'm sorry, no problem.
I appreciate
I just hope some of that information
update on Metro so timely. We're going to provide an update on
questions. Y'all can feel free to reach out to me via my cell number or office number. Thank you for letting me this time to speak.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Any other candidates? Come on up. If there's anyone virtually, if you could put it in the chat, that would be great. Otherwise, I think this is our last candidate.
Yep. So Kyle Scott, right now, get out of the way. I'm a candidate for Harris County Treasurer. Before this, a small business owner. And before that, I was a teacher. And what drove me into the classroom is precisely what drove me into this race, which is public service. Public service is about empowering communities and individuals within. And government ought to be about public service. And at the county level, this is public safety and infrastructure. I don't have a background in any of those things, so I can't really help out there. But I know finance, and we can't get those questions right until we get the money right. So I'm running for Harris County Treasurer in order to ensure accountability, transparency, and integrity with the county budget so that it can serve you the way that you deserve to be served. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I'm seeing no more candidates online. I don't think there's any more in person. So we'll move on to our keynote speaker, which is Veronica. Veronica, I don't know how to say your second part of your last name. Gorczynski. So it's Veronica Chapa Gorczynski. She is the president of the East End District, and she's going to speak to us about what the district's been up to, and also a little bit about a study that was completed in 2020, the Greater Eastwood Livable Center Study. Excellent. I will get the presentation up, and Kyle, if I could switch with you now, that would be great.
You want to take over?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's online here. We can hear.
Yes, from there you should be perfect.
All right. Hi, good evening. For those of you I haven't had the pleasure of meeting, my name is Veronica Chapa. My sidekick with me tonight is Diego. Excuse the giggles on an iPad. We're just trying to let him have some screen time while multitasking. I know you all been there. A little bit about, just to be crisp about the district. How many of y'all are aware of the East End District, formerly the Greater East End Management District? All right. So just as a quick level set, so we are a business improvement district, 16 square miles between downtown and Port of Houston, includes the greater Eastwood area, so your neighborhood along with some other neighborhoods around us. I have been in this position about 5 years. We have some mission critical items that we work with that are part of a business improvement district. We're a limited service government, so we work on beautification, we work on security, we maintain the corridors and the right of way, and I'm allowed to do a little bit of economic development. It's allowed by statute. We're going to flip through some slides kind of quickly. So here's our boundary map. The PDF's been distributed, so I know you can get something more detailed sent to y'all. We'll go to the next one. This is a summary of what we've done so far. So you can see it's tire pickups, shopping carts. We've done a lot of litter, a lot of right-of-way work. We'll go to the next slide. This one I wanted to highlight the email address. There is, if you have a business in the East End and you see that there is right-of-way tree pruning or maintenance that needs to happen in commercial corridors, that's our bailiwick. We have an email at services@eastenddistrict.com.
That is in the presentation. It's just covered there,
Yeah, sorry,
unfortunately.
the footer just got cut off,
Yeah.
but it is in the presentation. The reason I bring it up is if y'all tell us, we'll put it on rotation. We also on our website, which is eastenddistrict.com, publish the calendar for the right-of-way services that are happening. Additionally, public safety. The district has a separate contract with Precinct 6 that augments our public safety. So a couple of reminders. We like to remind folks that if you have a business in the East End, to make sure that your alarm system calls Precinct 6. If you haven't had a security check in a while, we recommend the businesses in your area to contact them, or they can contact the district and say, I want to have a security check. That could be, my manager is going to meet the constable's deputy to feel comfortable calling them. It may be that sometimes if you have somebody, that the last person at the office closing up at night, it's like, hey, can y'all come do a drive-by while I lock up? It could be, hey, I'm worried about security in my building. Can you come look at it? All those services are covered. The constable will do them anyway, but we forget to ask for help in these kind of, so I want you to, I want to share that with you and ask that you share it with other business owners in the area so we can make sure that security continues to be maintained at a high level. The next piece, we have a project, the details are on our website, down in the historical piece, but the district, along with the community, has been working on a roundabout at Navigation Runnels Jensen. I was told, since you might have participated in the study, this was a second ward livable center study in like 2012. You know, it takes about a decade to get through those studies. So we are working with TxDOT on that, and that project should let in November. We have monthly board meetings. We're giving updates there. But again, the website has a little bit more detail about that particular project. And the goal is to, as you can see on here, is to get from the roundabout, we're going to have the 3 blocks of the Navigation Esplanade. And then we have the additional 3 blocks under a maintenance agreement with the city. So we'd like to have really something from at least the roundabout to the Via Arcos building along linear walkable park with more public art installed. Really quickly, I'm going to gloss over this. The East End Bike Plan. I think many of you participated with this in 2020. We did this in partnership with Precinct 2. The full plan, it's fancy, y'all. It's 50 pages of high-level graphics and maps. It's on our website. We're in the process of trying to work on the first project as a result of this. The challenge is the funding is bond funding, and the city hasn't issued the bonds. So we're looking at late December, early January, when we'll be able to initiate this first part of the bike plan piece. We had 50 miles in the East End area of high comfort and shared bikeways that we wanted that the community asked us to connect, and it's connecting neighborhoods all around. The big piece that I think y'all wanted me to focus on, and I need to give you an update on, is the next slide, the Greater Eastwood Livable Center Study. So this is one of the highlights of what we were able to accomplish during the pandemic in 2020. You're going to receive the PowerPoint. I'm not going to read all the slides. I will put everybody to sleep before you're out of the building. But I want to highlight some really important themes. So why do we care about a livable center study? A livable center study was conducted between the district, we had support from the city of Houston, but also the Houston Galveston Area Council. They look at mobility, they look at connectivity. What could you do if you visioned what the next 20 years of investment could look like? And that is this document. There are 6 areas that were highlighted. So I'm going to go through the first 3, which is anchored by great streets. Y'all wanted great streets through the Eastwood community. You wanted to be healthy and active. Is it walkable? Have we thought about amenities? The third was a hub for education. There was a really strong push in this neighborhood to connect to the schools to make it more like neighborhood schools, where they were accessed for biking purposes, for educational purposes. So all of that is critical. On the next slide is where we look at some more specifics that have leveraged actually already some investment. So the feedback that you gave us is that you wanted greater Eastwood area to be walkable and connected. You wanted a place with a strong, vibrant culture. And the 6th one is you want it rich with opportunities for the future. So those are high level things, but I want to focus on number 5, a place with a strong vibrancy and culture. And I'm going to articulate, this is where I'm going to give you some details, so hang with me. So why do we care about number 5? So number 5, we said we wanted Main Street placemaking. How do we make this look like it's a walkable place where the retail is connected and residents can walk into certain areas and think of it like a Main Street and the independent community that it is. Second is how do we incorporate placemaking enhancements? That means, is the crosswalk visible? Did we figure out what the street lights are doing? Did we figure out if there's wayfinding signs? All those things that potentially are missing, how do we invest and make them better? The third piece y'all asked for are community gateways. How do we identify with people that you are coming into this neighborhood? And the 4th piece was cultural corridors. There was a lot of commitment to businesses that have been here a long time that y'all don't, none of us want lost or displaced. So how do we incorporate that as part of the value system and say, this is part of the culture of the Eastwood community, we want it to stay. So the reason I bring it up is very often, and I'm an urban planner by training, is we get the community out, we ask you to design something with us, we put it in a report, and I'll it's a little embarrassing, but a lot of times they stay on a shelf until the money comes, and the money comes, and the money comes, and the money never comes, right? The reason I bring it up is this is an advocacy playbook for y'all. This is something that we can revisit, or y'all can revisit as a group every year. And this is an opportunity where this year where the funding did come. So though the district wasn't a lead applicant, the city of Houston took your initiative, specifically number 5, because that became competitive for the raised federal grant. Did y'all see the grant for $21 million that's coming for the telephone road area? The reason it came, I want to tell you why it came, because y'all did the work without intending to. All of the buzzwords in that item number 5 were requirements in the application. When they said, Veronica, we want to look at, the raise is also known as a Main Street application. We want to look at a Main Street application for Eastwood. Can you tell us a little bit about the public process? And I said, oh yeah, we had, to the extent that we could, we had meetings with the community. We had them in 2 languages. And y'all, we had over 100 participants at these meetings because there were several meetings, and y'all came to them and we have in English and Spanish. So the outcome of that is every time you sign into the public meeting, guess what we had? A roster of attendees from the neighborhood in 2 languages that said, here's the public input and these are the things we want, right? Now it came together in the right way. So we were able to share those documents, fortunately with the city of Houston. And I was tickled pink because the last page on this slide, so this was in your study. This is what the folks that sat down and talked about what Telephone Road could be, helped design this with the engineers at TEI, and that's what became the cover of the federal application and ran in the newspaper. So great job to y'all. Y'all's work got the $21 million.
How did we get into the input not voting into it?
Pardon.
You said you want participation for the community input.
Yes.
That is not a voting situation. We used to, back in the day, we used to vote things in.
Yeah.
We used to get a ballot or mail in or something. Why don't we do that no more?
So that's a question for your
Because a lot of people will not attend that, so there's a small group of people that attend, and
I understand.
Don't know about this.
I think it's a great question. And let me say this. When we talk about this is a concept, this is not a final.
You're not answering my question.
I am. Give me one moment. I think that there's been changes in how we take public input. And here's what I would recommend. We no longer use a process. I don't participate in processes where we do ballots or surveys as the only medium to get feedback. I like charrettes that include, you get people together around the table and you talk about the design. And that's,
People,
pardon me?
10 people where there's hundreds of the community.
Yeah, so I will say that when we've done community charrettes, they're very well attended and they're large. We'll get 50 to 100 people before COVID.
There is a lot more than 50 or 100 people. In this
I
community.
understand, and we also do surveys, and this particular time, we actually had bilingual canvassers go and door knock and talk to business owners and ask to talk to their employees, because we need to find out how employees are going to work. And that these are very different ways to do outreach. I'm not saying you're wrong, I'm just saying this is the process that we're using now. And I think there's always an opportunity to do it better. I'm not saying we're doing it the best.
Because there's a lot of things, I don't know, a lot of people that totally disagree with what y'all doing.
I
A
understand.
lot of people, I've been in the area for 38 years
Okay,
and it's being messed up real bad. A lot of people are moving to the neighborhood and you're making the streets narrower and we need them bigger.
okay, understood. So on this particular piece, so here's what the update that's left that I would say is that this is a plan. It's typically 10 to 20 years out because infrastructure is a 10 to 20 year out project. You don't get those infrastructure improvements tomorrow. As the money becomes available, City of Houston, because we're in the City of Houston limits, will take the lead on talking to you about what those design opportunities are and how do we do them differently. I know that there is a group from the University of Houston students that have done a lot of walking along Telephone Road specifically. And we're talking about recommendations that include things like changing the way we cut curbs, thinking about how do you improve tree canopy, and some of those aesthetic pieces. So there are people also studying it because some of the students live in the neighborhood and are very committed to looking at those issues. So what is next what I would recommend next for this particular group is to look at the Livable Center study as you advocate in the next year. Do y'all look at your CIP as well as a group?
We send somebody to a meeting.
Awesome, okay. Well, and so this is the hard part, right? Because we all worked a long day, then you come here and you want to hang out with your neighbors, and it's more fun to do some events than in others. And I understand that, but I do recommend that because of the growth of the area, because of the funding opportunities, looking at a Livable Center setting, looking at the CIP, talking to your neighbors about what you need is going to be key. And your advocacy group's already doing that. So you have a great group that's working on the train piece that has done that. Y'all, they have done amazing volunteer work. And I saw, Lindsay, what y'all did with the FRA administrator, giving them data they didn't even know they needed or didn't have was, that is transformative and different from what I've seen in neighborhood effort. I think the other opportunity you're going to have here is going to be with the BRT. So I didn't include that part in my application, or for me, my presentation today. But I just want to share with y'all that the district shares concerns about the BRT. This is nothing new. I've shared it with the Metro staff. The thing that I would say that has not been mentioned is that allowing for that bridge for a bus only to go over the train tracks is just a big injustice to the neighborhood. It doesn't allow us to grade separate for the future. It essentially creates a flyover scenario. I also have concerns because I'm nerdy in a very specific way. I'm concerned about drainage. And I want to hear that the best engineers that are looking at drainage are involved in the discussion. And I'm not felt very comfortable about that to date. So I share that with you because I know you're going to do BRT advocacy. If you do it as well as the train and some of the other, I know that you're going to be successful. But something that we do have to think about, that I would urge everyone to think about, is the train tracks. Trains aren't moving. People aren't moving. We have to plan for infrastructure. If it's a 10 or 20 year commitment to get there, that includes looking at how does a BRT negatively impact with the train situation, which means everybody would get stuck waiting for the train, but for a bus that can't pick people up, or will just skip over the neighborhood is my fear. So separate from that, and I'm going to shift gears to the next slide. East End Houston has a cultural district. We have one of 7 cultural districts in the city. We boast one of the largest outdoor mural collections in the area. and I would argue in the state. And those of you that bike and have been and seen our murals know that they're stunning. I share that because we were able in 2020, with help of a lot of folks, especially in the arts community, put together a strategic plan. Our strategic plan talks about where we want to invest, specifically in art. So on this next slide, we have an executive summary. And we have we had 10 big recommendations. We had 3 recommendations that we wanted to pursue currently. And so the ones I wanted to highlight were, we have right now a contract administrator part-time. We were able to get grant funding to do that particular work. Additionally, we were able to create a strategy for an anchor program down navigation that is called Calle de Colores. It's going to be a mile of murals. There's a significant number of buildings that have murals. The challenge that we have is the vacant buildings stay vacant, and they can be perceived as unsafe if they're not maintained. So part of what our staff has done is, through the arts district, is taking the addresses of all those vacant buildings so we can approach building owners and say, would you consider partnering with us if we were to raise the funding, if we were to find sponsors and partners so that we can do a mile of murals down that navigation corridor. This is one of multiple projects that we want to look at in the future, but this is the one that we could get started given the budget that we have. It's a lot of volunteers and asking for a lot of people to sponsor and put these murals together. So we share that because it's an opportunity. You're going to see more of that, and we want to do more of it throughout the East End, including Eastwood and Magnolia Park, but we're trying to think through the details. Right now, we had to get a functional organization that could put this together and really get some money. And so we're excited that we're able to get it this far. We're one of, I can't remember the total number, but we're actually designated by the Texas Commission of the Arts and recognized by the state of Texas and active. So the last pieces that I'll remind you of is the farmers market. On navigation is open Sunday. We have vendors out there. We want to go to a year-round market. It's been a struggle to find farmers to come on Saturdays. The staff is looking for opportunities to bring people on Saturdays to sell produce. It's not the easiest time to look in July and August, so we're hoping we'll have an opportunity to expand to bring more produce to the market. And the last piece is, we are the business improvement district. A lot of y'all are small business owners and have friends that have businesses. The staff asked me to make a call. If you have a friend that's a building owner or a business that is interested in a mural, if they could just email us at hello@eastenddistrict.com and say, we want a mural in the subject line. I can't commit that we can do to every mural, but we want to expand that program. We want to offer that opportunity. We hire a lot of local artists, not only local artists from the East End, but local artists to Houston. And so it's important for us to continue that investment. So with that, okay, the part about questions. Do we have additional questions?
Yes. I have a question about your abandoned building program. Are you going to be building murals on the abandoned buildings or in front of them? What are we talking about? I'm just confused.
Yeah, no, it's a great question. So the truth of the answer is we don't know, because some buildings are empty and it may be that it's boarded up and we could put like a banner in it. Some buildings, and we know some on navigation where a building owner said, I bought it, I'm going to clean it. I'm going to clean up the property. I'm going to leave you 4 walls while I decide what to do with it. You can paint around the walls or paint on the inside. So it'll be a freestanding free building, but that would be kind of a different, very different from, say, putting a banner in a window. And then there's the more formal program where maybe it's a building they're trying to lease or sell, but they want the art on the side of it. And the reason we started doing this is there's been success in other parts of the country where you have the change from industrial to retail or some other function or use of those buildings, is that we know that there's a perception they're unsafe or they're dirty or they're not kept. And what we have found from an economic development perspective, people argue that, if you want to retain values, make it interesting, you need to paint murals. And so the biggest example that folks have right now is Wynwood in Florida, which is a neighborhood that they had one developer in particular was kind of the lead on this. Is there going to be a mural on every building in the East End? No, probably not, because I know some buildings are just beautiful the way they are. But I think that it's an opportunity for us to look at and partner with folks on, there's different ways that a building can be held. Vacant buildings can be a problem, and y'all know that more than I am. And part of what we're trying to do is make sure that we're looking at them, trying to integrate them.
And maybe this is a question for the Chamber of Commerce person, but is there any discussion about so a vacant building is vacant because somebody can't afford to rent it, or there's no renters available or something like that?
Yeah.
Perhaps their rates are too high, just lowering their rental rates or something? Has that been discussed? I mean, probably not through your mural.
No, not through the mural program. It's funny. I think a lot of buildings in the East End hold an emotional significance for the building. If it's been in the family a long time, I have, and some of the prices, I was asked about some prices last week, and I thought it was extraordinary, and I thought it was untenable. It is not my place to tell someone what they can price a building at, and I very much acknowledge that. It's not. And if the market will let you get that, and it's an opportunity to get wealth for your family, a transferable wealth because you've had that building in your family for 50 or plus years, there's an element there that I'm sensitive to. But yeah, I think in some instances we know, and then in others it's finding the right use for the building. Part of the challenge that we had, I know even in looking at the Maker Hub space, is what do you do when you have 100,000 plus square feet and you have to create a destination? And what's the best and highest use of that site? And so I think that there's some interesting transitions as the buggy whip goes away and we're left with some facilities and figuring out what that looks like for everyone. You want to send them your way and you can tell them?
Yeah.
What's the best way to keep track of the district's activity, like an email list or a page where you post your activity?
So we don't, the best place is probably the website. The reason I recommend our website is I don't post individual activities. I should. I don't do social media well. But for example, on the roundabout, yeah, Gen Xer, full Gen Xer. But for example, I wanted the community to have a good understanding of the roundabout. So I made the staff write the history, the plans, the original, it's there. If you're looking for economic development studies, they're there. We have all of our minutes for all of our board meetings or public meetings, those are included on there. And so I think that the best way to keep up with what we're doing is probably to see on the bottom banner, we'll have updates. So if you go to eastenddistrict.com and you haven't looked at the university line, we did post the Metro University line and told you, go to the segment that covers our neighborhood. That's on the website. The detailed articles about the grant that was received for the $21 million, because it's how do we get there and who's on it and who applied, that detail is on there. So we tried to put several articles together so it gave you context and you could follow the issue. So I'd really recommend that homepage is kept up pretty well. And then if you're looking for details on a separate project, we have them embedded in the different tabs. There's also, for the folks who are really interested in data, under an economic development tab, we have the land values and the, our land uses mapped between 2000, I want to say 2007 to maybe 2017, right till the pandemic. So if you want to see a change in land use or something was industrial, what did it turn into? How much government land or how much green land is in the East End? What is the price change? And you can tell there's a considerable difference when the Metro Rail went through. You could see the price change on there. We've included that data as well. I'm trying to update census data for the area with all the census tracts that lets you break down the demographics, including things like average commute to work, car sharing of a vehicle, public transportation usage, and I think even some health insurance. I was tracking health uninsured and health rates. So, but that is in beta. It's not ready quite yet to be on there because it's not perfectly user friendly. It's got a lot of notes and disclaimers, unfortunately.
This might not be your area, but I noticed that the murals over by the freeway in Leland are like trash dumps. So what happens to all the trash?
So if it is in our area, what we do is we put it on a list, and there's a couple of programs that we partner with to clean it up because we don't have enough people to do it. But what we do is there is 2 organizations that we partner with, including Career Recovery Resources and the Texas Conservation Corps, that will help us clean it up if it's in the district boundaries. Initially, at one point, we were a clean and green program with Harris County. We have to post. I mean, we were a community service portal, but they did a lot of community service cleanup. So you're welcome. If you see that and it's on your phone, if you want to email it with an address to services@eastenddistrict.com. Sometimes our staff sees it, sometimes they don't, but we'll put it on a list and try to, they're pretty tenacious. They're going to find out what's going on or who owns it or why can't we get there.
You mentioned the loan program. That's great. I think you guys are in charge more than five.
No, great question. No, I don't think, I need to check with my staff on it. Parking's coming up, but it's primarily residential. And so, and we're limited to commercial corridors. So we have to figure out a artful. My predecessor, they may have, yeah.
Well, it's technically a park, so should the Parks Department be doing that?
Yes, but, and they do it twice a year.
Some side streets where the, like here in Edison, where the fire department sometimes has trouble with turning off folks people coming back to the fire station. And cars park on both sides. So is there any way to alleviate that? Because sometimes we have a hard time getting by there.
Yeah, I think that that's going to have to be a question with the council member's office to see what could be done. Because typically what'll happen is y'all will make a special request for that area. And if you change parking, that means changing signs. And people get real mad when you start changing signs on that area and say they can't park. And not to say that you shouldn't do it, but I think it's a city process. You'll need public works. You'll need the parking. There's a parking department at the city and your council member will help you shepherd that.
What I've noticed is when we have the apartments being refurbished, people moving in, they don't have ample parking for the residents. So therefore they're parking on the streets. And that's where the problem starts. For example, when you come back from Lockwood to Edison, turn left, and there's a car there. But there's a possibility of hitting that car because it's trying to beat traffic coming over there from Dumbo.
Yeah.
I have that problem very often there.
Yeah.
I live right in the corner of Polk and Edison. That's why I'm saying that.
No, I understand. So you're going to have that in a lot of historic neighborhoods because the streets were here first before we built it around cars. And I know with the fire trucks. Thank you. Pardon. You just have to accommodate for everything. So yeah, I mean, your concerns are absolutely valid. It would be a conversation with the city to see what we can do differently on that. But typically, and I hear you on the apartment complexes, they're grandfathered in because they're older complexes. So very much there's areas that remind me of like DC and New Orleans, where you find people just like, there's just not enough.
A lot of it, Chicago.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm sorry, just one more.
Uh-huh.
You decided that where the bike road, I'm surprised, why couldn't they go down Commerce? There's no traffic, it's just down Lawndale and Hope.
For the bikeway pieces. I don't know how the ones that were originally designed, how those were selected. The bike plan that we put together was because we found 2 other bike plans that were fragmented. And so what we were trying to do is where things dead ended is try to connect them. I'll say that Commerce is on the list and they want to do Commerce. The problem with Commerce right now is about once every 6 months, a cyclist is injured because of the rail on Commerce Street. Yeah, and it's never a good thing. It's never a good thing. And that's one of those, you know, getting the Union Pacific and the city to agree as to what happens with that rail tie, or not the rail tie, the actual rail.
I know, I'm just so surprised, there must be like major streets for the bike routes.
The worst ones to take.
Yes, they were the
The
worst
worst
ones.
ones to take. Real.
And nobody uses them.
Yeah.
Nobody uses
There's
them.
gonna be more than 10 people. Nobody uses the bike lane, they're in the street. They're not gonna be 10, 15, 20 people in the car.
Yeah.
I need to get rid of all the bike lanes. They're super bad for the neighborhood.
It's on Leland, am I correct? Good one.
Okay, pardon, we have two more questions
Yeah.
in the back.
I have one.
Yeah, we don't have a question. Stay right there for me, please. Sorry. Thank you. I love you. Love you too, son. Aw, thank you. Yes, sir.
You answered part of my question. So I've actually called 311 about commerce and the abandoned rail
Mhm.
and disrepair. Saying that city of Houston is right. It's a sort of foundation work. They're trying to figure it out with the union Pacific.
Yes, and I would say, I mean, the reality is Union Pacific owns it. And it's their easement and it's their rail. And the favorite thing that has happened in the last 3 years is that there was some sort of, I'm gonna call it an accident, but there's a section of Commerce now that has a patch of asphalt where it turns. I can't verify where it came from. It just appeared and it covered it up and it was terrible. So we're all grateful, but I do not know if someone spilled with a truck and like just, scraped it and kept going. It's bizarre.
A concerned resident.
I don't know who's responsible for the potholes.
So the 311 initiative, okay, potholes 1 through 311. The other piece that I would say is y'all have really hardworking council members. And they use your names on the list to say, this is who we have. Y'all, I'm trying my best. I'm trying my best. I would say I wouldn't put everything through 311. I just don't. I talk to my council members. I talk to my county commissioners. Because 311 it's a repository of information and that's it. And unless we're not gonna have a program, it's gonna go asphalt over a rail line. So. But I'm sure we would love to have you volunteer for the new for the transportation train advocacy group, the subgroup for bike ped. You may have a neighbor right there who'd be able to help you lend his name. All right.
There's something I need to speak about.
Okay.
I
Stephen.
just want to say on the bike plan, there's years of planning, reaching out to the community, dozens of meetings, thousands of people involved in that. And a lot of people think that most of the bike ride is recreational. In the city of Houston, it's 75%. This was the old numbers. They've actually increased 75% of all bicycle rides going to work or school is the primary
Transportation mode. Yeah.
And like I said, that's not higher. In the Eastwood, it's even higher than that previously and now. But there were tons of meetings, well advertised.
Y'all, I clearly hit a nerve. So this is what I'm gonna say. I clearly hit a nerve. That's what I'm gonna say.
You need to make a note that there's people complaining about the bike lane.
Yes.
300 people here.
I understand. And my friend Joaquin is right here. And he's taking notes with me. So we hear you.
300
This
people.
is a plan.
I would also like to add that when they made this planned out bike trail on Mondale Street, they didn't think about where these people are supposed to place their trash cans now.
I've heard that.
They place them in front of their house, they're in the bike trail. And now they can't even park the cars. If they have multiple vehicles,
Yeah.
they have to pile them into one driveway. They can't even park in front of their home.
Yep.
But they do pay taxes, high taxes on the property.
And I will say that was not a district initiative. So I hear you. But that was part of the city of Houston. And this is the kind of thing that we talk to the Public Works and Engineering Group about as well. Because they have people that are dedicated to these bike pieces and they have to understand that when you plan them, when you're a homeowner, there's other expectations as well. So I agree with you on that.
And I also asked one more thing. I was away from Houston for a while, but once upon a time, from the sidewalk out was the city's responsibility. Now, it seems like we're now responsible for our ditches, cleaning our ditches and making sure that they're okay. But the city is not giving us any money or lending them, because that is now our property, access to drainage, because our ditches are also drainage for the city of Houston, but we're supposed to maintain them, including the 7 inches on the other side of the ditch. So now I'm supposed to be in the street, letting my weed eater to keep the city's property mowed and trimmed.
Sure. I do not, okay, just to be clear, totally appreciate your comment, because I've had to mow and weed eat and get stuff out of my own, so I get it. I am not with the city of Houston, and I don't make those decisions. I don't want to misrepresent and not and tell you something. I do not represent the city in this regard, in this conversation. This is definitely something that needs to be discussed with a council member. And I'll say one of the people who's interested in this as an issue citywide is Council Member Sally Alcorn at large, has been looking at the issue specifically of the sidewalks. But now I think the open ditch piece is coming along as a part of it, because what we found is, or what they have found is that unfortunately, I came to Houston, I thought open ditches were ugly. It reminded me of my family's farm, or my grandpa's house next to where the cows were. It was like not the aesthetic, but at the end of the day, they work and they carry water if it's clean, and I mean, like, water will rush through. It will if you keep it that way. And I think that's like that's a Houston challenge that we're having right now, especially. So what I would say is, in addition to Councilmember, I know I'm grateful that Joaquin is here representing Councilmember Gallego's office. I know that Councilmember Sally Alcorn is looking at it. And as a group, these are the advocacy pieces that you can put in a letter that you can say on behalf of the Eastwood Civic Association, we have these issues, and they can be presented at council and you read into the record, or they can be submitted via email as part of a complaint or a comment to any of these studies.
It's not just bikers using the lane, bicyclists using the lanes. There's been a proliferation of scooters. Not those people. No.
So we understand, y'all have so much more to do to change the world. This needs to be a bigger issue on another agenda that y'all talk through together on like what the best solution for the neighborhood is.
So I'd like to kind of end our comment period here, because we're getting into questions that Veronica can't answer, but they're bigger than the East End Management District. That it's really great that Joaquin is here from Councilmember Gallego's office.
He's running out right now.
Good. See you later. But really appreciate you coming in and talking about the projects that you have been doing in the neighborhood. And I also wanted to do a shout out that the lovely trees that we have on Lockwood Drive are thanks to y'all. So all of the new crepe myrtles that went in, it's additional green canopy for us in years to come. So we were so surprised when they popped up, but happy to see more greenery in the area.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you to your son for waiting so patiently. It's adorable. Would you like to introduce yourself? Councilmember Popoff now?
To the trains and they're honking. I live on the corner of Rusk and Double.
Can we just wait one moment? Let Veronica's son to finish my next presentation on the train. So.
Thank you for the invitation.
Wonderful. And
I'm noticing less honking during the night.
okay.
There's a train. No honking, zero.
I think Lindsay would say differently on the West Belt. So what belt are you hearing from? What area?
Double.
So the Galveston sub, the one that runs parallel to Harrisburg.
This last weekend,
This last week.
That's really interesting, because I just looked at our train data for the last week.
Some make you happy on board. But the
There was a
majority
bug
of
in their
them.
system that actually caused major disruption in our area. So you probably heard less, but everybody else not only had more, but had more stoppages, very serious stoppages. So.
But it's really great anecdotal evidence to hear.
This week here.
It's
Like in the middle of the night and stuff like that.
I have a few more pieces to get through, and one of them is going to be the second piece on here. I wanted to give the group some updates about what the Civic Association Board has been working on. One of them we've heard a lot about tonight, which is the Metro BRT. So we have formed a committee with the purpose of advocating for an improved design of the BRT project so that it benefits and improves Greater Eastwood, and to inform the neighborhood and about the project and encourage them to provide their feedback directly to Metro. So, you know, might have some folks who are on one side of the spectrum of what they want to see with the project, some folks are on the other. Go tell Metro. If that's the biggest takeaway we could get to folks, that would be really important. But we're also taking an advocacy approach of how we think how the board thinks that we might be able to get a better design than what was first presented to us back in April. And an update on what we have done. So last time we presented, the first 3 bullet points were things we had let you know about that we had created an alternative street design that kept the boulevard rather than took the boulevard away. So that's where Boulevard and Esplanade, where all of the old growth trees are on Lockwood. A letter that outlined the conditions of the Civic Association's support for that project, which included, off the top of my head, no overpass, keeping the boulevard a wide sidewalk that could be shared for walkers and bikers. No eminent domain, so everything's done within public right of way, and that it is landscaped and matches the character of the neighborhood on Lockwood, so that it fits in with the existing character of that street through this neighborhood. And those are the key pieces. And then the third piece was building relationships with Metro staff, which is ongoing. So everything up top is completed, and the big update, I guess, is that this committee had a meeting with Metro staff about our letter and about the alternative design, and Metro was quite receptive to those. Their biggest sticking point was around an overpass versus an underpass, how they will get across the train. They aren't sure, but they heard very clearly our concerns that an overpass could be detrimental depending on how it's done, and that we would love to see alternative designs was really the ask, and then underpass is one of those alternative designs. What we heard from Metro on that was that they would look at alternative designs, and that they had completed an initial environmental review that that soil contamination is not known in that area yet. So that excuse that we have been given for a little bit from Metro is, they've admitted, is maybe not an excuse yet. They have to do more studies there. So my opinion on where this has gone is that Metro is playing ball and working with the community and their concerns, and we have to keep sharing what our concerns are, no matter how diverse they are, in what we want to see with that project. So in terms of next steps, we move into increasing public awareness about this project. I hope that in the coming months, you'll hear from us about setting up block parties or block discussions to share details about the project, and then encourage folks to go give public comment about it. So watch for those pieces, and then we'll continue to engage with our elected officials, which seems to be working because lots of folks were talking about this project and had heard Eastwood's concerns before. So that's really great to see. Any questions on what the Civic Association is doing with regards to this project?
Have they decided, or is it already set in stone for them to build it on Lockwood for Metro?
So I am not from Metro, to be clear, just a neighbor like you. My takeaway is that it would be very challenging to move it off of Lockwood. And at a board level for the Civic Association, we felt that our best option was to work with Metro to accept that it would be on Lockwood, but advocate for it to be designed with the neighborhood in mind. That's not to say that if you don't want it on Lockwood, please put that in your public comments.
Because as it is, it was a very bad mistake to make Metro rail on Harrisburg. Harrisburg, we have to cut across. Everything cut across, and it's in the neighborhood. I've already saw a man die from my eyes right there in this park. People are blind. This is a very, very heavily commuted neighborhood. They're old fashioned, their grandmas and grandpas, children, the park. It would have been better had they made it on navigation. It's still walking distance, riding distance, or whatever, people drop you off. I know that you can catch the rail system and then catch the bus. I have Oregon, Israel, Jerusalem, they ride the train, they ride the bus, they ride the train, they ride the bus. It works. See in other countries, the way they run it, how they do it. You guys, are not you guys, Metro is going to block us. If there's a major disaster, the train is carrying oil spill or chemical, we're gonna get blocked in. If the freeway is jammed up, Metro, saying to you, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Totally against that Metro, because we go across all the time, even the ambulances, you know how many times I've seen. The police, the ambulance, the fire, they get stuck on the train.
So-
Then they gotta go around, it's like me, I laugh at it, it's exactly what, I don't laugh, it was funny, but I laugh because we're all running around, the train on the, without the terrible system to put that bike ride on college.
So
I mean,
I'm gonna,
For the record, it's not a train, it's a bus.
Okay, on Cullen, the rail system, I mean, on Cullen, the bike ride, first of all, the apartments took up that lane, and then now they have the bike ride too, they took that from us, okay?
so
The Cullen Street.
but no, I need to interrupt you so we can continue on with the meeting. This is why the role of this committee is to tell you what we know about the project and then ask you to tell these concerns to Metro and your elected official. Our job as a civic association is to advocate the best we can for this neighborhood, keep you informed, and ask you to do the kind of civic work of going back to your constituents, because I can't carry the message forward on you.
One more last thing, you know, the tonight channel, where I came, they showed it, they said, most of this part is against the Metro Rail making the bus, and they were showing the chart to see how long from 2018 to now, how many people are riding the Metro, how many people are riding the rail system or whatever, the bus. I don't know if people are for it here, but I know as a resident, I live here, I live here all my life. I know my family lives here, we don't like it. And they showed the chart from, you look up on channel 13, you'll see it. It was on the news tonight right before I came. Cut in half, how many people are using it, how it's a waste of money, using the Metro system. Only time it's busy, everybody knows it. Most of the people are against it, they said it on the news.
Yeah. So for Kyle and I, take away, because Kyle helps run our social media, I will share the link to give your comments about this project. And if you've not already done so, please do. That's what Metro wants to hear. And as a civic association, we're trying to keep you informed about it and do the best we can to make sure if this project does come through, that there's benefits to the neighborhood. I'm gonna, in the interest of time, I'm gonna move on and talk about what our training committee's been up to. So this was formed not even a year ago, solely by Lindsay to start us off. And we've been advocating for respectful train operations in Greater Eastwood that moves trains through the neighborhoods quickly and quietly is kind of the approach that they've tried to take. And they focus on infrastructure funding and studies to get infrastructure money into the East End, advocating for that and for studies of what rail operations and how people meet rail could work better, pushing for the implementation of approved quiet zones, and then working on rail operator relations with Union Pacific. It's a tall order for a volunteer organization, but those are the pieces we touch on. Lindsay, if you wanted to verbally give an update about some of the things that we've gone on, I put a few on the screen, and if you could do it close to the computer so the virtual folks could hear, that would be excellent.
Okay, I think the biggest thing that we have done is gotten the FRA attention, and the FRA is the Federal Railroad Association, so they are the governing body for the railroads. It wasn't just us, there were a lot of people that were involved in this, but we were pretty noisy about it, so we need to continue to be noisy. We had the FRA administrator who reports to the Department of Transportation actually here, and I know that some of the people here in this meeting were there. So, sorry. So we had that meeting with them, and we did get a few really solid commitments. One of them was that we do have a dedicated resource to our area, two of them actually, and Danielle and I are on the East End Rail Safety Task Force, which we will be speaking to the FRA directly on a more ongoing basis. Another commitment that we did get was we got the FRA administrator to commit to coming back to our area in 6 months
in hopes of, seeing what kind of progress that we're seeing. So we are seeing very big progress here than what we have seen in the past. One thing that is coming out is there is a Canadian Pacific acquisition of Kansas City Southern. And I know that everybody here is probably looking at me like, why does this matter? So what's with this acquisition and merger, Kansas City Southern, this whole thing is going to put their hub in Houston and could potentially increase the number of trains per line by 8 to 15 per day. Yes. Yes. So
I just have a real quick question. Are there any Kansas City Southern?
yes, they mostly come on the West Belt, but yes. So what we need to make sure we do is there's going to be a link in the chat. You can provide some public commentary on this because very clearly this could be very problematic for our area, to say the least, as we see a lot of rail traffic already as it is. Railroad companies are not being good stewards to the neighborhood on multiple fronts, but we need to make sure that we get our voices out here on this, simply because I don't know how much we can handle 10, 8 to 15 more trains per day.
What's the deadline for the public
I believe it's in the early part
14th of
yeah,
October.
October 14th. Please do that. So Please do just, that. I'll point, because I made the slides and Lindsay doesn't know, the website to give that public comment is www.cp, so Canadian Pacific KCS, Kansas City Southern merger, EIS.com. And Kyle and I will share around the presentation on social media and post it on the website so you can go back and reference this, but highly encourage folks to give that comment. Go ahead, Lindsay. So we are working on continued advocacy with the city of Houston to get additional funding opportunities with the bipartisan infrastructure law funding opportunities that are all available out there. There's billions of dollars that are just available, and the city of Houston has a chance to get their hands on it. There's lots of different things that we're trying to get, namely quiet zones throughout and several grade separated crossings. So that's something that we're trying to work on. But I guess just the main thing here, look, I know everybody's got a train story. I know it. I hear it all the time. Just make sure that you give your public comment on this Kansas City Southern merger. This is going to be big, but if you have additional stories, I'm happy to share my email and I post them. We kind of collect them, keep understanding the impact on the communities, because it's more than just being stuck, somewhere. It's bigger than that, and that's just something I wanted to make sure we had. All right, cool.
Just a comment to add to your comments, having been at the FRA meeting, one of the things that the FRA mentioned for the community was that they really want to see residents reporting blocked trains.
Yes.
It's a really uncomfortable process to be on your cell phone, sitting in a car, stopped at a rail crossing, to type in the full website. But if you Google FRA blocked crossings, you select it from a map and you can actually select the train you're stopped at. It takes time. It's about 2 to 3 minutes to actually go in and fill that web form out. But that data is what the FRA is going to be looking at. And now there's a big magnifying glass on that data, specifically that the FRA administrators come to town. They understand that that's our role as citizens to block, to report what we see. And they can act if they see data. So please, if you happen to be stuck at a train, take 2 minutes and fill out the form. It would be really helpful.
They want the train number a mile away.
Well, if you no, if you can, it has a map and you can zoom in on the map and touch the one that you are looking at.
On the Eastwood Civic Association website, if you go to the resources page, there's a map that you can print out that has all the train crossing numbers on it.
Yeah.
No, not the train crossing, the train number.
No, I know, it's on there, but the crossing number is on there,
The crossing number, the train number, not the crossing, not the tracks, the train number.
where are you,
I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'm aware as well, Paul, I'll address this. So they're asking you to report to the FRA. What you're asking is when you call the number on the crossing placard, they ask for you, what's the train car? Like, what is the car blocking? The FRA website does not ask for that information. They just need to know the crossing. And that is where we're seeing the most traction with reporting. So if we could recommend reporting somewhere is there first until we have a better system, calling that number on the train, actually just, if it calls Union Pacific and they don't report it to the FRA. So we're asking you to report to the body that's supposed to govern the rail operators, and it does not need that information. Lindsay, we're really tight for time, so I'm gonna keep moving us along. I've put the latest numbers on train blockages up here. A piece to keep in mind is that for over a year now, we have been tracking how many blockages we have at one crossing on one line through our neighborhood. There are multiple lines. There's more we can do. And the East End District with Veronica's team is actually doing some good work in that regard too, and collecting more data, but we haven't seen it let up. The data is very similar across the board, and happy to chat with anyone about this in more detail after the meeting. Two more updates, and they're event related. So first, there's no meeting in October because we have our National Night Out on October 4th. So if you were at Spring Fiesta in the spring, it's very similar. We're coming together on Tuesday, October 4th from 6 to 8 p.m. on the Park Drive Esplanade. Which side of the Esplanade is going to depend on the conditions of the Esplanade. Drop in for free tacos and ice cream, chat with your neighbors, play some lawn games. I think there'll be face painting for the little ones. I hope to see many of you out there in person to socialize a little more in lieu of a meeting next month. And then on that note, I have some very specific information to share from Erin on the historic home tour. So I'm going to read here. The Eastwood Historic Home Tour is back. Tour dates are October 15th and 16th. And we're really excited to share we have 5 unique properties, including the sanctuary. We need so many volunteers this year, from people at the homes to give tours to ticket sales. There's no experience required. If you're new to the neighborhood, it's a really great way to meet your neighbors. Volunteer and you receive a free ticket to the home tour and an invitation to the after party. And if you are on Zoom, the sign up link's already been posted in the chat. And if you're in person, you can be on the lookout for social media posts and ECA emails with the volunteer and ticket information, or you can just talk to me after the meeting and I'll get you in touch with that form. So really hope to see you there as attendees, but also would love to see some volunteers out for our historic home tour. I think with that, we have standing business of treasurer's report and secretary's report, which we're going to put on hold for this meeting. Our treasurer is not on the call, and Kyle and I had an issue with pulling up the minutes from last meeting. So we'll take care of that in November. So with that, I would like a motion to adjourn.
We have a councilman here.
Oh yes, thank you very much. Joaquin, you missed the beginning of the meeting. Oh, wait, Councilmember Gallegos. Would you like to make any comments before we close out? We missed pop off in the beginning.
Good evening. Sorry for being a little late. I was at another event, but yeah, I did talk about the Canadian Pacific Railroad and the Kansas City Central merger. I know that Commissioner Ellis contacted me last week to point out that what was happening. He's going to be speaking tomorrow at Commissioner's Court. He's going to be presenting a resolution in opposition of this merger. He had reached out to me if I can also join virtually in opposition, which I will be doing. Tomorrow's public session, so unfortunately I can't be at Commissioner's Court, but I will virtually speak at Commissioner's Court in opposition of this merger. And like it was stated, it's about 5 to 10 trains or so. But what we're looking in the map, it's going to be affected more on the west side. But with that said, you never know that they, the way the train operations work, they may impact us. So we need to speak up. I know that Commissioner Ellis is going to be speaking in DC on September 29th in opposition of this. There's no public hearings here in Houston. The nearest one is in Beaumont. So they're having DC public hearings, and that's the latter part of September. I'm going to try to make it, but Commissioner Ellis was already planning to be in DC that week, so he's going to be speaking in opposition of it. Just also some quick updates. Station 18 now has a monitor. They are monitoring how many intersections? Six. They're monitoring 6 intersections in regards to any trains that are blocking intersections. As you know, Eastwood basically lives in a triangle of railroad tracks. And at times, y'all are blocked in on all three angles. So Station 18 is going to have a monitor. I'm going to reach out to Chief Pena to meet me there hopefully this week. So that way we can inspect it. But this is something that we have brought to the attention of the railroads. It's very dangerous when they have trains blocking all triangles there to where you can go in or come out, especially if there's an emergency. So and we do also have monitors at 5 locations. There's 3 in District I. They've been in place. One's at Lawndale, the crossing there on Lawndale, monitoring trains. We were able to monitor a couple of months ago, I believe, that a train was stopped for 4 hours. So now we can let the railroads know the issues and the problems that they are causing in our community. Beforehand, we had to hope they would share that information with us, which they wouldn't. But now we have that information. So now they're coming to the table being a little more friendly and nicer, knowing that we have that information. So this is something that we've been working on for the last 2 years, and it's finally been implemented. So we're hopefully it's a pilot program, and if it works, which I'm sure it will, we'll try to expand that in the city. The other quick thing I'd like to point out.
What other intersections are on that?
There's Lawndale. Is Lockwood one?
Yes.
Lockwood is on the.
Lawndale, Griggs, yes, Mount Sanford.
Right, and then you have one in Councilmember Cayman's district on Washington Avenue. And then there's 2 in Cayman's district, I believe. Yeah, so there's 5 right now, but we're hoping to expand.
Lockwood.
Sorry?
They're still working on Lockwood.
Yeah. But we now have a.
That's a short time.
But now we have a monitor, so that way we can know, and we can tell the railroads, you were there for 5 hours. They won't act like they didn't know what was going on.
How long has that been there?
For the last, I would say since the spring or so. Yeah.
Really quick, for the ones that the Station 18 is monitoring, is that going to be publicly, that data going to be publicly available? We can review.
I'm going to find out, and we'll let y'all know. The other thing is a dedicated bike lane on Lawndale. That's in place, so residents, especially from Eastwood, can ride their bikes safely down Lawndale to get to the Brays Bayou, and then from Brays Bayou go on towards the Herman Park or further. So that's something that is in place now. Rufus Cage, I'm still working on that. That was something that I've been working on since I was president of the Super Neighborhood. The mayor knows about it. Andy Eakin, our economic advisor, knows about it. They know that that's on the top of my list of try to getting something done. We have an investor, a developer that's been working with the city in regards to turning the old Rufus Cage building into about 9 artist lofts, and then the 2 warehouses next to the old building. I've been pushing that needs to be provided for nonprofits, educational nonprofits. Before COVID, I know that Project Grad was interested. We had a pre-K organization that was interested. Unfortunately, this was before COVID, and then COVID hit. So now I've got to regroup to make sure that they're still interested. But this is something that the investor, thank God, is still interested in it, even though COVID came and went, basically. They're still interested in developing that. So we're hoping we can have some good news in the next couple of months on that. What else? Green line. I know there was a mention regarding the green line doesn't have anybody on the train. Unfortunately, the reason why is because the destination is the Magnolia Transit Center. Way back when they were pushing for this green line, they should have pushed it all the way to Hobby Airport. And if they would have done that, then you would have had a lot more people on that train. And Metro knows that that's something that I'm going to be pushing for. In regards to the green line being extended to Hobby, they're looking at the green line and the purple line. So whoever comes after me, you as a community needs to push that council member that they push the green line to go to Hobby, because I'm fearful that we may lose it to the purple line. So we need to work on that to make sure that that happens. The dog run there at Brays Bayou in Lawndale, that's still moving forward. The Parks Department is looking at the renderings. They're going to be presenting that to me hopefully the next month. So that way we can get that done. I'm hoping by the end of the summer. So that's something that we're looking for. Yes.
Have you gotten any pushback? Have you gotten any pushback on Greenline extending the hobby from taxi cab lobby?
No. Not the taxi cab lobby. No. I haven't really had any pushback on the Green Line going to hobby at all. If you know of anybody, let me know. Give me a heads up. I believe that, Telephone Road. Telephone Road was something that we were working on with Public Works for almost 2 years. Just recently, it was announced that the city was awarded the RACE grant from the infrastructure bill. That was, of course, the infrastructure bill in the federal government. So we're the city of Houston on the RACE grant. We're getting $23 million, if I'm not mistaken, or $21 million out of a $26 million project. So what they're going to be doing, they're reconstructing Telephone Road. The first objective is for making sure it doesn't flood. So they're going to be redoing all the drainage and what have you for sure. And then they're going to be placing wide sidewalks. The project is going to be from Telephone Road at Lawndale all the way to 610. A few years ago, we were able to expand the Gulf Gate Church, which now covers a large area of the Hobby Airport area. They're working with the Harris County HGAC to see if they're awarded a grant, and if they are, they're going to work on Telephone Road on the south side of 610 all the way to Reveille. And then the Harrisburg TERS, they're going to be voting on this soon, and if they approve it, they will redo Telephone Road from Lawndale to Lockwood. So if it all falls in place, Telephone Road's going to be, improved, which has been neglected for decades, as you know. So we're excited about that.
Is that going to involve making it narrower, one lane? Or is it going to be 2 lanes both ways?
That they're still working on the details, but I know they're going to be putting wider sidewalks.
The street, it's still going to be 2 lanes going
I
both
believe
ways?
it's 2 lanes both ways still. I think it's just widening the side.
Right, they're widening the sidewalks.
You're not mixing with the street.
Well, I'm not going to say they are or they aren't until, we get with Public Works. We were just awarded the grant.
Streets everywhere. We need wider streets.
Right.
We're building houses everywhere.
Yeah, but we'll work with Public Works and come out to the community and present renderings and what have you. See, I'll get that. Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
This is the most largest city right in Bristol. Where are they gonna have an office or anything? City of Houston office will go off that block.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
Have an office where you can go in person like they used to have on weekends.
Right.
They don't have it anymore. You can't go in person to talk to someone.
Yeah, I trust me, I used to go there quite often. I would have loved for the city to have an office like that for the public to go to, but unfortunately with the, the internet and paying online and what have you, it's just cost prohibitive in regards to the city.
That place was packed all the time.
No, I
There was
understand.
A lot of elderly people, most of these facts that were here now, slowly been moving away, and I know.
Mhm.
But that's not fair to them and their taxpayers too. They, don't have anywhere to go to, they come to me, I try to help them with the problem.
There are issues that can't be addressed from a phone call.
Yeah, and
Right.
if you ever get on to the city of Houston, I've been on for 45 minutes before, and then they hang up on you, you gotta go get it, so it's really bad.
Any other questions? If not, all right, great, thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. With that, we are over time, so I'm happy to take questions afterwards from any folks who want to chat with me in particular, but a motion to adjourn.
I'm so sorry. I missed the opportunity earlier. I'm here from the library. I'm just really excited to meet with you guys in person, and I wanted to invite you to our event at the Santa Community Library on October 1st on Saturday. So if y'all can put that on your calendar, we would love to see the community come out
If you could give,
It's the Stanton Library on Garcia. It's on October 1st from 1 to 4. We're gonna have performances and
Oh,
baseball.
Canal.
Yes, yes, Canal.
if you could give Kyle the details after, so we make sure it gets over on our social media, that would be awesome. Okay, now, any final comments? Motion to adjourn. I see Nathan, a second. All those in favor? Any opposed? Hearing none, meeting is adjourned. Thank you so much for joining us. Those joining virtually, thank you for going through our first time.
Strike 3 times.